This is an incoming transmission from the Jersey Shore.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group. Today you'll hear some of the most important financial information and wealth-building techniques available anywhere.
Let's get this party started, huh?
Do you have a question for Scott and the team?
Am I on the air?
609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646.
We'll get that information to them by radio.
Now, Financial Insanity with Scott McLean.
The fourth quarter of the year is upon us, and it's time for savvy, strategic investors just like you to take action. Creating a tax-efficient, inflation-adjusted income strategy now can help you stay ahead of the game later. Lots to think about this time of year. I'm Alex Dingman, along with Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group here in Weirtown. Scott, always great to see you, my friend. And we're talking about this year-end checklist. What goes into this checklist as you help folks prepare for 2024, which is crazy to say, but that's where we're at.
Thanks so much for joining us. You know, here it is, Thanksgiving. Boy, what a great time to be thankful. Be thankful in everything, and everything give thanks. It's kind of hard to be thankful when you're in pain. It's hard to be thankful when your kids are on the wrong side of the street. But to be thankful changes attitude. It can change everything. And of course, when you think about being thankful, be thankful it's the end of the year. It could be a touchdown for some of you as you start to do the year-end planning. As Alex, you mentioned, it's so important to remember the good, the bad, the ugly, so you don't repeat it, as well as the good, so you can repeat it. So the checklist, I don't know if you guys have been looking at your checklist real quick, but you think about, well, number one, what about your employee benefits? Should you be increasing your 401k, 403b? Should you increase your IRA? This determines on tax time. So you should be doing tax planning, or at least investment savings. Can I invest more? Can we put more away? And for some of you, maybe you don't have enough liquid money, maybe your money market account. By the way, there's a few good money market accounts out there that you can get on you, totally no cost, no frills. The Ally Bank is out there. They're paying 4.25. Forward Interest Savings is out there offering 5.5%. And of course, it fluctuates every day, but there's some really great places to put your money at no fees. Pay nobody, but save money. So do you have enough liquid money? In other words, increase your retirement. Maybe you need to increase it. And for those of you that are in or near retirement the next maybe year, this is critically to say, I must sit down with someone who does financial planning for retirees because I need to put a game plan together now. And the reason why? How can we reduce your taxes right before you retire? Now you retire, maybe you're going to have a Social Security income and tax planning. This is so important. Don't put this off. I can tell you this is critical. I mean, if this is on your mind right now, real quick, by the way, Alex, I don't mean to give it a plug, but if you're having this questions, how do you get your planning? 609-488-4646. Give me a call off the air. We need to go over these. Again, should I increase my 401k, 403b? Number two, do I have enough liquid cash to keep going? Number three, maybe as you look at your tax returns, did you put enough away for taxes? Do you have enough put away for taxes? Or when you do your taxes, are you going to get a spanking because you didn't attention to this? And this is why I think holistic planning, I call the 3D approach, is so important. Then, of course, look at your investments. This market has been absolutely on fire at one part of the year, and then a lot of water got doused. And of course, the market has taken some turns. We're now in a war. I hope we don't go into this full arm. The market's been up and down like the nice bed at the motel and your kids jump up and down. But the question is, when everything settles, will there be a dent in your portfolio? Will things change? I just think real quick of a year to date, when you look at the stock market, it jumped. Alex, what's number 4? Assess your investments. And you think the market was up 19% year to date in July. Today, it lost all the 19, and now it's, as of this recording today, it's 8.7%. and it seems to be having a real nosebleed. Now, if we did a 1-year fiscal date, I would say October to October, the end of October, it's 6%. So you could be saying, well, only person making my money is my financial guy or my financial gal. Okay, that may be true, but are you eking out money by way of dividends and interest? We're going to talk about that later in the show. You definitely want to hang on for that. But what I do want to tell you, assess your investments. And if you're heading into retirement, you daggum better assess your investments. How can I have a nice income? Interest rates are at an all-time high in the past 18, 20 years. Take advantage of that right now. Lastly, I'll bring this, Alex, because I think we're running out of time right now. You kind of want to look also at maybe giving. Are you a giver? It's Thanksgiving. Are you giving? And write this down. If you're listening to me right now, QCD, qualified. You're going to be qualified money. It's going to go into your church or your synagogue or your place that you love helping people, a nonprofit. You're allowed to do your required minimum distribution, giving it to the lovely organization. And I wrote a white paper. If you'd like to get a copy of my white paper called Give and Get More Back. Give and get more back. It's blessed to give than receive. I like both. How can you give and get more back? Call our studios and ask Bonnie for our white paper. It's called the Give and Get More Back. 609-488-4646. I want to get that in your hands because if you understand the blessing of giving, it's Thanksgiving. We've been blessed. Some of you have great health and some of you are on not too great health. How do you really put this together for you? Hey, guys, I'd love to help you through this, but Alex, these are just a few of the strategies, let alone looking at your debt and reducing your debt. Maybe some of you, maybe you're out there and you haven't even dusted off your will, power of attorney, living will. Maybe you haven't put your house into an irrevocable trust to protect it from the nursing homes. I'm not saying to do that. I'm saying, have you gone through that with your financial advisor? This is the 3D approach, Alex. This is so important. This is the end of the year checklist. And don't forget about it because this is easy to forget. Nice radio show, great people, and all of a sudden, okay, what's next? Wait a minute, whoa. Set one thing in your mind and take action.
Yes. And your 3D approach, looking at Dreams, Dollars, Dynasty, it's that comprehensive look at someone's finances. Alex Dingman here with Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group here in Waretown. The number again, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646, talking about year-end stuff. This is a great time to come in and meet with Scott to look things over as we are approaching a new year. And one exciting area here, Scott, always is taxes. But what's more exciting is lowering the tax bill possibly in the future. And I know that's also something to look at this time of year. How can I potentially lower my tax bill in the future?
Alex, man, I'm so glad you asked about how do you lower the potential of taxes. So when you look at lowering taxes, maybe those of you out there should be investing into an IRA or a spousal IRA or both. Now, you have a chance of doing that up till April 2024, but the challenge could be maybe you'll forget or put it off and all of a sudden you forget and you don't get to it, but you're allowed to do that. Or maybe you can do two different deposits. You have a 2023 for this year to lower taxes. Again, you can do it at the same time in 2024 and make the double down. You can, two different deposits for your wife and two different houses, your husband, your spouse. Now, also 401k, 403b. Should you increase that? That'll help lower taxes. Now, for those of you that are in retirement, maybe you're taking money out of the wrong investments. So when you look at the investment portfolio, are they tax efficient? When I think about tax efficiency, the question is, at the end of the year, you see if your portfolio is tax efficient or not tax efficient. I call it deficient. So the question is, when you look at the portfolio, when your advisor looks at your tax returns in light of your investments, what do they say? Or maybe you're saying, well, my financial guy doesn't look at my tax. My accountant does it. Well, frankly, in all fairness, if he or she is investing in the markets, And they're not looking at the tax returns. It's almost like driving the car and your wheels are out of alignment, which could cause you more wear and tear, less rate of return, and less in your pocketbook. So again, another area of lowering taxes, paying attention how you pull out money.
And if you have questions, if you want to look at your year-end checklist plan for next year, that number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646 at 8.com for the website. And you can meet with the fine folks over at McLean Advisory Group. Much more to come here on Financial Insanity, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646. Investment advice is offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
How much cash are we going to burn? And will you be out of money? And will the cat food train start to come alive? And that's where the rubber meets the road.
Great cat impersonation, by the way, Scott. That was spot on.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Do you know how much income you'll need in retirement? There isn't one number that's right for everyone. Income needs in retirement are unique to each person or couple, and there are some questions, though, that can help you plan for retirement. We're going to go through those today. Thank you so much for joining us right here on Financial Insanity. I'm Alex Dingman alongside advisor Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. And Scott, we got 6 questions to go through, so let's just jump into it, my friend. The first essential question to ask as you're looking to think, how much income am I going to need in retirement? The first question, well, what are you spending right now? We got to know what that answer is, right, Scott?
It's amazing. I just had a meeting with a lovely couple, and we're doing their planning. And the wife, she does the books, and the husband came in for the first time. I met her a couple times, and I said, look, for us to move forward, I've got to speak to your husband. I love meeting with spouses because I got to make sure we're all on the same page. And I said, by the way, what are you spending right now? Same question you just asked. You know, what is your monthly outflow? What are you getting on your checkbook? What are you actually getting on income? What are you spending? And she looked at me because I caught her off guard. She goes, wow, you're catching me off guard. I said, yeah, but this number should be in the back of your mind somewhere because you guys are about to retire and you both have juicy pensions. My question when I see you guys or see people, Alex, is how much are you spending right now? And she goes, started adding up line by line by line what she's spending. The challenge is when she's spending that much money, when they spend that much money, what does your retirement look like is the question I ask. In other words, are we going on a trip? Are we traveling by plane, train, boat? Maybe you have an RV. We have to calculate those numbers. But the first number, what are we spending right now before we retire? And as we're in retirement, the question is, will that number stay the same? When will the mortgage be off? So Alex, this is a very critical number. And she said, Scott, I really don't know. I said, before we do anything, before we move any money around, before we move anything, your investments and your choices, I like to know this first to find out, do we have enough emergency fund? Do we have enough income? And if your lights go dim, you go in the nursing home, what's our backup plan? And this is important. What are we spending now? Good way to start that, Alex, because a lot of people don't know that number. you should have that number in your mind.
Yep.
And the goal is to beat it. How can I save money, or do I need more money?
Yep. Much like, you go to the doctor to face reality when it comes to your health, it's much like needing to go to an advisor to really get a reality check when it comes to your finances. And so this is where you just got to be real, you got to be honest, and Scott can have this conversation as we're going over the essential questions to ask when determining how much income a person's going to need in retirement. And the second question here, Scott, is how will your spending change in retirement? For instance, do you dream of traveling, plan to move out of the state? There's a lot of different things you could spend money on, obviously.
It's a lot of things
I can think of a few.
Yeah, you might be eating out more money, and of course we have inflation that'll evaporate your wallet quickly. Maybe your dreams and goals of traveling. What kind of, like I just said, maybe you have an RV. Do we figure out the cost of gas? Could it be going up? Maybe you're thinking about moving or selling a house. These are critical questions. We just spoke to a person last week. They have two beautiful properties, one here in New Jersey and one in Pennsylvania, the beautiful Poconos. They have a nice capital gain of around $200,000 capital gain. And if they sold it, which they were thinking about, I said, well, did you plan on the taxes on the capital gain? And they said, well, no, we're going to pay taxes. I said, yeah, let's just figure this out. We kind of figured it out. But if they put the money into a specialized REIT, real estate investment trust, and you have A, liquidity so you can pull out the principal, but B, pay no taxes, well, you should have seen their eyes light up. These are some strategies that are out there. Now, if you're going to start to travel and what does your retirement look like? How much you think you're going to spend? Again, it's a guesstimate. But in the early years of retirement, Alex, it's called the go-go years. Maybe in the first 10 years, you're really going to be blowing and going. You're going to have some fun. And I can tell you, you're going to spend more money than you thought. But keeping your eye on that budget. No one likes the cuss word, the B cuss word, budget. But if we're keeping our eye on the cuss word, budget, we know what we're spending, which is the first question you asked. We know what we need to stay around. This could help you. Or maybe some of you are thinking, well, if my mom and dad pass away, I have extra money. Well, don't look at them as your sugar daddy, even though they might be. But again, this could be put in your plan. But again, you don't want to bank on it. And everybody says that, but sometimes people say one thing, but in their heart, they're thinking another. Let's talk about spending. How much are we going to spend? What is our retirement? Can we really live the go-go years, Lord willing, healthy, enjoyable, or am I going to scrimp and save and stay at home and watch TV, watch Bob Barker? I don't know.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. This is Financial Insanity. It's out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity. And the number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Asking the essential questions today when determining if you're going to have enough income in retirement. That was a great point about, well, things are going to be getting more expensive in the future. You do have to account for that always. But a third question to ask here, Scott, family issues affecting your spending. A lot of different possibilities here, but a lot of things, good and bad, can happen with family when it comes to your money.
Let's talk about those lovely parents who have special needs kids. This could affect your spending. This could affect the quality of life. This could affect, are you bringing your son or your daughter on the trip with you? So we hope you can. This is a very touchy point. But it's a point people need to be aware of. What is that cost going to be? Because you want to enjoy your family as best as possible. Do we have someone take care of them as my wife and I or my husband and I go out? My partner and I go out and travel. Who can take care of my children in that area? Or let's not only talk about children, Alex, but about those of you that are actually taking care of your mom and dad.
Yep.
Or a dog or a cat. And that is part of your spending. These little things do add up. How will that affect your spending habits? And of course, can you bring them with you? Can't you bring them with you? Or is it possible or impossible?
Mm-hmm.
Spending. When you think about spending on top of that, Alex, in the first years, you got the go-go years. Do I have enough money to keep lasting? Will it last a long time? I'd like to people remember the rule of four. The rule of four. We'll go over that in a minute, Alex, I think. But the rule of four is simply take a certain amount of money and do I need an extra, let's say, $1,000 a month? If you want an extra $1,000 a month with the rule of four, 1,000 times 12 obviously is $12,000. The rule of four is if I have money in a 4% account, well, that means you have $300,000 if you're just living on the interest. So we spoke about this earlier in this segment. Do I need to reallocate my portfolio for income, not growth, for income? So on the first of the month, I know there's going to be a check in the checkbook. I know the money is going to show up in the mailbox or in my checkbook, I should say, and I know it's going to be there. So the rule of four would be a basic thing, even though interest rates are very yummy right now. But I can tell you, if you listen to our last segment, if you those lucky enough to listen to our last segment, if you didn't, you can go online and listen to it, of other different areas to get money at a nice 4 or 5%. Nice savings account. So again, how are we spending money? Where are we spending on it? What's the left hook? Another area of family, Alex, I forgot to bring up was your children. Some of you out there may have a child that keeps asking for money.
What?
And
That never happens.
Hey, Dad, Mom, I'm a little bit lean on my mortgage. Can you help me? Well, I'm not going to tell you to help them or not help them, but this affects.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mom and Dad, my son needs, your grandson that's a great ball player. He needs new shoes and a baseball bat. I was talking to my daughter. These stinking bats cost like $400, these fancy bats for these little rat kids. I'm like, holy
crazy.
crap.
Yeah.
I used a wooden bat. Now they got these fancy bats.
Oh,
and,
don't go back in my day on them, Scott. Come on. Don't go there.
So we kids can actually use their beautiful little eyes and start to pull money out of your wallet. Are you subject? Are you enabling them or disabling them? Remember, this retirement is your retirement. This is the go-go years. The first 10 years of retirement usually is the go-go years.
Yep.
And then you go into the slow-go years. You're not pulling out as much. But again, do you have enough nerve to say to the kids, no, this is for Mom and I, or my partner and I, my beautiful lady friend, my boyfriend, whatever. Is this enough? And I can't keep helping you out here. The cuss word is 2 letters. It's no. But I know a lot of people have a hard time. By the way, I have a hard time. I love helping my kids if I can help them.
Sure.
But if I know they're doing the wrong with the money, they're not getting a daggone penny. So again, know how to say no. You got a lot of people with big hearts out there that are willing to give up money
Yep.
at the whim. This is a tragedy.
And it's one of those things, too. We can ask all the questions, but one of the points is that there's going to be things that you cannot predict that happen in retirement. And so you have to have money set aside. As we talk about family, maybe your son or daughter goes through a divorce and that leaves them in a different financial situation. And now you're kind of stepping in to maybe let a son or daughter live with you, or maybe you're helping them with rent or with needs for children, or, there's so many unpredictable things. So I think that's just a good point, Scott, is that we can ask all these questions, which we need to ask, and we're going to go over them today. But there's also just those things that you cannot predict. And so you have to try to protect yourself with that kind of stuff as well. And Scott, we just have a couple minutes left here of this segment, but I think just drive the point home that you also know what questions there are to ask of someone that maybe people don't even know when they're thinking about figuring out how much income they're going to need in retirement. You know what to ask.
Alex, when I look at the 3D approach, the dollars, how much they have, the dreams, the desires, and the legacy, by looking at the tax return along with the estate planning, and then finding out where you want to go. What does your retirement look like to you? How do you want it? I really want a wonderful retirement. I want to really enjoy life. How does that set up? And these are questions that need to be asked, not once, Alex, but probably several times throughout 3, 4, 5 years. Maybe every year you review these questions and you change the game plan if you have to. Because if you don't change the game plan, you find out you're burning more cash. As I spoke to a woman just yesterday, she's helping the kids out to start their own store. I said, you need to stop this or you're going to be out of money. And remember, he said, you don't want to be the cat woman eating cat food? This could be you. Call my office, 609-488-4600. 4646. Scott McLean. I will help you. I'll guide you. No cost, no obligation. 609 488 4646. I'd love to help you.
3 more questions to ask when figuring out if you'll have enough income in retirement. On the other side, this is Financial Insanity.
It's nice when you get everything on your list in one place, isn't it? Scott McLean from McLean Advisory Group agrees. That's why he offers comprehensive retirement planning all under one roof. You shouldn't have to go one place for tax planning, another for estate planning, and another for retirement income planning. That's why McLean Advisory Group was started. Scott wanted to build a company that could help families with all aspects of their retirement planning. McLean Advisory Group is more than just convenient. They're knowledgeable and experienced. And for answers for your questions, you can set up a meeting with Scott and his team to talk about your retirement. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. Use the same number to reach the team online. 609-488-4646.com. Investment advisory services are offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax or legal advice.
We are asking some essential questions today to help you determine how much income you're going to need in retirement. Last segment, we asked, how much are you spending right now? How will your spending change in retirement? And how will family issues affect your spending? Scott, the fourth question today, will your taxes be higher or lower in retirement? I think I know the answer.
Well, you know, it's not a set answer. I would think everybody think would be lower. You're correct, Alex. But let's assume you're a teacher and your spouse is medical, and you have a 401k and a 403b. You have a pension, and so you do a rollover. You roll over your money. Government allows you to move your money out of the company's plan, and because you'll do that wonderful rollover, wonderful, we've protected that money, and you're not 73 for the requirement of distribution. Usually when you retire, it's lower, but if let's say your spouse is getting $5,000 a month in pension and you're getting $5,000 a month in pension, well, that's all ordinary income. It could be higher than what you thought because you thought it would go down. Then you turn on Social Security maybe too early. Maybe you should take money from a non-qualified account, let's say a checking account, savings account, money market account, a CD. Maybe you should take it from other different accounts than an IRA account. Why? Because the higher the marginal tax bracket is, the more you're going to have to pay at tax time. So you thought, no, I wasn't going to pay that much money in tax. You find out, wow, went from 15% to 13, not a very big savings. So again, this is why the advisor that you're working with needs to look at the tax returns on a yearly basis to see how has your circumstance changed. Now, in retrospect, if you're living on Social Security and you're pulling a little bit of money out of your accounts, your IRA accounts, frankly, you could have a tax-free tax return, and now you're paying zero in tax. And for those people that actually invested money into some unique insurance type of products that you can pull out money tax-free and still have the estate if you pass away, you may have a tax-free retirement. On top of planning session says maybe you've been putting away money into a Roth IRA. Now you're pulling money out of the Roth IRA. You're pulling out of the money out of the non-qualified money. You're pulling out of money from Social Security, and then you turn on your pension, or you don't. Again, looking at that tax return could be, hopefully you're living at a lower taxable income, but the marginal tax bracket, and as the advisor looks at the tax returns on an annual basis, which is why our firm started the tax practice in 2008, Alex. We actually do taxes for our financial clients. We charge them a lot of money. It's $125, Alex, for a full tax return, unless they have some other fancy stuff like the real estate and stuff. But basically, the tax return is $125 because I want to know, they don't have to do tax with us, what's going on. It gives us heads up, hey, something changed. But another thing that can change for those of you out there, what if someone dies and you inherit money? Now you have to pull out money from the inheritable money. And the new law says, 2020, you got to take it out within a 10-year period. It's called a stretch. You can stretch it over the 10 years. Take it all out now. Take a little bit out. Should you convert it to a Roth? And these are great questions. Again, someone dies. When we get these questions all the time, Alex, when people call us at our studios, and they say, well, Scott, I just lost my mom and she passed away. I received her an inheritance and a lot of it's IRA money. How do we handle it? Please come in. Give us a call at our studios, because taking too much out could really affect a no taxable retirement to a huge taxable retirement. And this is why you need to really analyze and kind of really view each person individually. This is not a cookie cutter deal, Alex. This is not so yes, in the beginning, should your tax be low retirement? Yes, we all think that, but don't think too deeply. You need to really dive into the depths of how you're pulling money out, where you're pulling money out. And then, just for those of you out there, could you have phantom tax? Phantom tax is an unknown tax. So when the stock market drops and you have non-qualified money in the stock market, let's say you have mutual funds in Vanguard, T. Rowe Price, maybe you have Scudder, and they make a profit within the stock market portfolio that dropped, you could pay tax on long-term capital gains. You scratch your head, how could I pay tax when my account went down 30%? Well, that's called phantom tax. So this is why it's really important as you do your 3D approach to planning. You look at the dollars, the dreams, and then of course, your dynasty. How does it pass on so the kids don't get whacked as much in taxes? This is important, Alex. This is a lost art in our field.
Absolutely. As we're asking some essential questions today, helping people determine how much income they're going to need in retirement. And we just had a question there about taxes. We have two more questions left. Here's another one. How could inflation, Scott, impact your retirement assets?
Well, that's easy. I think everybody knows that. If your portfolio did 10%, if you're lucky, and inflation is 8%, your real return is 2%. So when you look at that, look at the cost of eggs and bacon and cereal and toilet paper. Things are gone up. It's been rapidly going. We've never seen such a rapid increase. Alex, you're seeing this, I guess, for the first time in your life. But for us older people who have been through this, this is really the most exponential, rapid inflation we've ever seen over the past 18 to 20 months. And so when we look at the impact, yeah, we're going to go out and get a little cocktail beverage, adult meal and drink, and we find out we're not paying $55, we're paying $100. That could affect how much time you can go out. Maybe you need to go to Happy Meal and cut it in half and split the Happy Meal versus because inflation is so out of control. Maybe it's going to affect the way you retire. This is why we spoke earlier today, Alex, or at one of our other times we got together about planning for retirement and how much should you set aside and the rule of 4 and how does that work? If you have questions out there, guys, and you're facing this, you know, these are very basic questions, but when they hits home, it's not basic. It becomes real. Basic is 1 + 1 is 2. But real, how does it affect you? 609-488-4646. If you have a question, and I'm sure I'll be able to answer for you. If I don't, I guarantee I'll find the answer for you the best I can. Give our studios a call. Ask for Bonnie. When you ask for Bonnie, 609-488-4646. She'll set a time we can meet together. I am very busy. It is a wonderful time of year. I am thankful that you're listening. But I'm not thankful if you've got questions you don't call us, because you're putting your desires and your dreams aside, because I'm here to help you. Hopefully, like your answer man when it comes to money, don't put that aside. Don't delay. And of course, procrastination is the mother of disaster. Don't put it away. Love to hear from you. Alex?
Yes, 609-488-4646 is that number. We have one final question. So to recap, as we're going through the essential questions to ask when determining how much income you're going to need in retirement, we have 6 of them. The first one, how much are you spending right now? The second question is, how will your spending change in retirement? Third question, will family issues affect your spending? Then we asked, will your taxes be higher or lower in retirement? How could inflation impact your assets? And the final question today, and we all know the answer to this one, and I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek, how long will you live? But we do have to consider this, Scott. People are living longer.
You know, that's between you and the Lord. The Lord we all have a clock. I don't know what my clock says, but if I look at my mom and dad, daddy died at 74. Mama died at 75. My clock, if I go by them, is longer. Then I look at grandma and grandpa's clock and they lived to 84 and 86. I hope I have their clock. We don't know. But will your money outlive you, or will you outlive your money? And this determines on all those wonderful questions you asked, Alex, because it leads into, how do I plan for my retirement so I have a steady stream of income? Inflation, not inflation, a low rate of return, stock market collapse, we go to a war. There is lots of questions. And in your final questions, we talked about how much income you need in retirement. And how long will you live? Well, how much need for income retirement? That goes to your budget, is the first phase. Then it goes to your dreams. How do you want to travel the next 10 years? Or what do you want to do? What kind of fun do you want to do? Maybe you want to stay around the house, put a wedding on for your son or your daughter. Maybe you take care of your special needs child and have a wonderful life and spend time with them. Or maybe your husband or wife, lights are going dim. How do we enjoy this process the best way possible? How can we be thankful in everything, and everything give thanks? We talked about that because Thanksgiving time, but we think about all of these areas. How much income is needed? This is a great formula, the rule of 4. And then, of course, it goes on the rule of 4. If you don't know the rule of 4, give our studios a call, 609-488-4646. Let me guide you the rule of 4 and how it fits into your portfolio. But then, how long do you plan on living? Well, I don't know that answer. I'm not the maker and the creator. I do believe in the maker and creator. The question is, I didn't make or create you, so I don't know. But what I do know is, do we have enough so we don't outlive our retirement? As that one woman I spoke to, she doesn't want to live on cat food, although it may be more nutritious. I don't know. but
well,
the
kind of
going to
pet
be
food they make nowadays, it's hard to distinguish anymore what's human and what's.
Yeah. I agree.
It's wild.
That's you out there. You know what? These questions we brought in today are real. I hear them often, and it's so normal to get these questions, but everybody isn't the same. This is not cookie cutter solutions for anybody I meet. Each person is so individual. Perhaps you're going through a divorce, game plan change. Perhaps your spouse or your partner died, game plan change. Maybe they chose the pension option. Option means if you die, the pension goes away. Game plan change. Wouldn't that be better to know that now than later? Wouldn't that be know that if you have a good long lifeline, like some of my friends, their parents died at 75, like me, or those of you who are really blessed, their parents died at 90 or 100. You know what? This is a good indicator how you should really plan. It's not the all set it and forget it, but this is what you discuss every year. And this is why we talk to people about their dreams, their dollars, and their dynasty, on how it fits within the taxes, the legacy, your will, power of attorney, living will. Should you hide your assets into a trust? Again, what is the impact on your retirement? What's the impact on the money that you leave behind and how they be taxed? This is important, Alex. That's why you talk about the 3D planning.
Yep. I love it. Yep. Again, that number, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Coming up, top 5 scams to watch out for right here.
Oh, boy.
I know, on Financial Insanity.
likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646. Investment advice is offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Scott speaks about savings down by the seashore.
Oh, man, that's great. That's great.
Back to Financial Insanity with Scott McLean and co-host Alex Dingman.
We talk a lot about the risks to your money in retirement. Wall Street Journal saying baby boomers' biggest financial risk, cognitive decline. Scary risk can rob you of your best judgment. Sometimes it can go even unnoticed for years. With that in mind, we're going to go ahead and bring you a top 5 list for this week. Top 5 scams that you should be aware of, Scott.
Well, I don't know about you, and I just had someone in the office, and this lovely lady, 73 years old, was in the office and has a new friend, beautiful, beautiful gentleman, as he sat out in the lobby and we got through talking about it. And I called the romance scam. And obviously, it's real. And when you think about the romance scam, of course, they perpetrate themselves as they got money and they want to go out, and who ends up paying the bills, and they end up having that area. On top of romance scams, I would like to throw in there, when you think about that, maybe kids who think they're so concerned about their mom and dad's money that maybe they think mom and dad have a lot of money and they can borrow the money. I think that's a scam as well. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but I think these partners, romance scams, as you well indicated, these dating websites, these elderly victims, just to get your information. Be very careful of that. We all love relationship people. This is important. Now, Alex, you said there was another scam out there, the tech scam, I think you mentioned.
Yeah, and that's something, and we see it all the time. Really, you can have text messages, you can have emails, but unfortunately, there's a lot of technology nowadays, Scott, and people can be reached so easily, and you never know how somebody maybe even got your information. But there's a lot of communication, and sometimes people can make it seem very real and something very relevant, and they can give you a lot of sense of urgency, and it's important to be aware of those kind of things happening as well.
Boy, that is so true. When I think about these text scams, I remember when we do taxes and these text scams, they turn into a phone call. Did you get you owe money on the government? You need to send us money. Or one of the close friends and clients, which obviously won't say their name, where they called me up and they were beside themselves, where they actually ran to Walmart and they wired money through Western Union of $5,000 because they heard their grandson was in trouble, got in a car accident, but they won't report it if they send them money because the grandson hit somebody, and they ended up almost dying. The woman is pregnant, now lost a baby. This is real. And she called me, the husband and wife called me, and they said, Scott, what do we do? And, I said, let's call your son right now and see about how their child's doing, your grandson. No, they told us not to call anybody or they're going to go ahead and press charges.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would believe that. Now, my clients are a little bit older. There's this couple. We're very close. And I looked at them in the eyes and said, we're calling your son right now. No, Scott, I don't want you to. I said, okay, we're going to call the police. They were in my office. We're going to call the police station right now to see if there's any accidents. And we did. I said, okay, Mr. and Mrs., let's say JoJo, we're going to call now your son. You should have seen his wife's face. Alex, I believe you. These scams are real, and they did not want to call because they're afraid it's real. We got the son on the phone because I forced them to do it. Oh no, he's with his best friend right now. There was no car accident. These are real scams, whether it's from tax returns, such as the tech scams, the grandparent scams, usually trying to, which is the third scam you had mentioned to me when we were speaking before. Of course, they're faking out relative. And then we talk about the government. We talk about the taxes, the fourth scam.
And that's a big one, Scott. That's a big one because
huge.
Because they'll pick the right times too, whether it's tax season or whether they know it's open enrollment or whatever it may be, and that's when you'll get a call, and then it makes it seem very relevant.
The tax scam, Alex, I get this call every daggum year. And we have it in our folder when we do our tax returns for our clients. And we do a for our financial clients, it's a real expensive tax returns, like $110 we charge. We don't want to be a profit center. We want to help our people understand that. But one thing we found out is, okay, this is the IRS calling. You need to owe money. We don't want to put a lien on your account. And the IRS doesn't call people. It's like, wait a minute, whoa. Didn't we just tell you in the portfolio when you got your tax returns, there's a thing you may get a phone call. Don't expect a phone call. It says in there real clearly. So, and then the stimulus checks. I can't tell you how many calls we got because we do taxes for our clients, and the stimulus check.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Totally ridiculous. And you know what? I don't blame the older folks because they're sitting at home, they're watching their TV shows, they get a phone call, and fear is a tremendous motivator the older you get. And that, to me, your lights go dim, maybe your husband, your wife, your significant others taking care of you, and you're worried about them. And these scams, well, Alex, the sweepstakes scam, how about that one? Or the charity. I want to give money to the poor people, or this charity, or maybe like my friend, as I mentioned, one of your shows before, we spoke about my roommate in college is over in Poland helping Ukrainians, and he's there right now. But there's a lot of scams. I remember the scam about the Hurricane Sandy. Where did all that daggum money go? Ticks me off. And I think of all this illegitimate, quote, charitable organizations. This is a huge problem for the seniors out there. Guys, don't fall for it. And then you end up calling your financial guy, hey, I need like my close friend, and Scott, we need to pull out $10,000 because our grandson got in a car accident I mentioned earlier. I said, no, I'll let you get your money, but we need to make some calls first. As a fiduciary, Alex, my job is to protect our clients the best I can in every way I can. And if they don't want it, they can take their money and go to another advisor, because my job is to be, I call it in Ezekiel 33, the watchman, to oversee people's monies, to help them. You know what? This is a lost art. One thing, Alex, we didn't talk about, you could have kids out there trying to scam their parents.
Well, that would never happen, Scott. What are you talking about? There has never been a kid out there who's tried to get their parents' money when they didn't actually probably need it. What are you talking about? That would never happen.
It's crazy.
That would never happen. No. Well, and Scott,
I see that.
And I'm sure that you do, and you see it all. And you are somebody, if somebody's sitting out there and they're thinking, well, heck, is this a scam, or what should I look out for? If you have questions, then Scott could maybe have some answers for you. If you want to give him a buzz, 609-488-4646. You can give Scott a call, 609-488-4646. Scott, since you deal with this a lot, are there some indicators that somebody might be dealing with a scammer?
Sometimes not. Sometimes they could be sounding so sincere, so realistic, you might not realize it. But then on the other side, basically they go to Google and they do a search online, and people who contact you. Or perhaps maybe you go online, you look up their phone number. If those seniors, people that are cognitively, they're going to be proactive, maybe you Google the phone number, see if it's a real phone number. And when I see people also really being proactive, is they want you to download stuff, and they want you to just click on this, and it leads you down the primrose path of being ripped off. And that internet thing, because a lot of seniors these days, more now than ever, are on the internet. They sit in there, maybe one person's watching the TV show and the other person's on the internet, and you get caught in this web of deception. And I think we've really never did this on a radio show in the past 10, 12 years, but this is a good segment, Alex. We talk about so many scammers they're trained. They know how to get your information, and then they get your voice, and they get it's almost right now, just like the thief in the night. Well, now they don't even have to go in your house. They're going to get it by the internet. So I think this is really, really a good topic of the scams. And again, the nicest guy, the nicest girl in the world, one of the flags, maybe they're good looking, they have a nice, sweet talking self, and maybe they just want to sell you something and get you involved in something, and they get your credit card, and and now you're spending time cleaning up this nonsense. So don't use your debit card. If you're going to buy things, use a credit card. The credit card companies are really helping out. They've been a big insulator. I would never use a debit card. And by the way, it happened to my sister, where her daughter is on my sister's account, and she started buying stuff, and she started adding to the credit card, which my sister is in her name, and she allowed her daughter to use it.
What could
go wrong? All of a sudden,
wrong?
she sees charges. My goodness. And she got taken to the cleaners. And I won't say what I did, but I can tell you, I see this from a firsthand position to my clients, and I just disturbs me, especially in the field I was heading in. How do I protect our clients as a fiduciary, as a protector of our clients? And I think this is really important, Alex. Great subject.
Well, and Scott, you don't want to just walk around and be somebody who doesn't trust anybody, or that you're super paranoid or stuff like that. But how can working with financial professional, working with you, how can that insulate people, give some people some protection against scams? Because some of them can come from people that you really didn't expect it to come from.
Well, I know one thing. We get phone calls. And I can tell you several phone calls we get from clients, and they want to take money out, and I will drill them down on questions. Well, let me ask you something. What happened? What took place? What do you need it for? Not that I'm trying to control their money, not at all, but to protect them from what's going on. Now, if they don't want to tell me, they don't have to. I'm supposed to give them their money. If they ask for money, that's fine. But if I'm hearing something fishy, whether they get the sweepstakes or whatever, I really want to know, is it the fraudulent, deceitful people out there trying to get their hands on their money? And I usually call it. Second thing, of course, when I think about that, I really want to find out, if they call us, what is it about, as I just mentioned? If it even goes to the next level, which I have done, I may call the power of attorney. If we keep our clients in our firm, when someone becomes a client, I want a copy of their will, power of attorney, living will. So if they call in and they want to ask questions, I'm going to pull them up. Who is this? And I want to find out about that, or our staff would find out about that. So ask lots of questions. Maybe you go to your best friend before you do anything and ask them questions on what should you do. If not, and maybe you get this fancy software out there. I don't know which is the best software. I'm not telling people what the best software is, but there's software to protect your title lock, I think they call it, or maybe Life Lock, which your protection. I don't know which is the best out there. That's not my job. Seek it out, ask your kids for help. But I think you need to have these tools, because it's going to get more rampant as the market changes, as people get more aggressively, theft goes up.
And Scott, for the last time here today, how can people get a hold of you if they do have questions?
Pick up the telephone, 609-488-4646. Our staff will put you on the call log. We'll follow up, 609-488-4646. And if we can help somebody, obviously we're a financial firm. We're not the fraud detection firm. I'll make that real clear. If we can hear some phony things going on, we will probably either post it on the web, 609-488-4646.com. And you can see for some helpful tips, if we have any at that time, of things that are happening.
This presentation may contain information which has undergone regulatory or other significant change since its original recording. The information on this program is educational in nature and is not intended to be a recommendation for any specific investment product, strategy, plan, tax, or legal advice. Information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy. Discussions and answers to questions do not involve the rendering of personalized investment advice and is limited to the dissemination of general information and may not be suitable for members of the listening audience. Communications such as this are not impartial and are provided in connection with advertising and marketing for McLean Advisory Group. Prior to making any investment or financial decisions, an investor should always seek advice from a financial, insurance, legal, or tax professional. McLean Advisory Group and/or Scott McLean offer investment advisory and financial planning services through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC.
This radio show is a paid placement.